This is the MLW Radio Network. This is the Mind of the Meanie. Here are your hosts, the Blue Meanie and Adam Barnard.
Peace, world, and welcome everybody to the Mind of the Meanie, your weekly peek into the world according to former WWE superstar and ECW original, the Blue Meanie. We'll cover wrestling, music, movies, sports, and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the Mind of the Meanie. I'm your tour guide, Adam Barnard, and he is the Blue Meanie. Meanie, what is on your mind?
I think I'll go for a walk outside now. The sunshine's calling my name. I don't know why. I'm singing the Brady Bunch.
Hey.
Doing good, man. Doing good. Unfortunately, my thoughts are with you, sir. You got the big C.
Yeah,
not like Uncle Junior's big C, but the current big C. Sorry. Am I stealing your thunder by the announcement that
No, this is Mind of the Meanie, not Mind of the Barnard. Yes, it is true, and it's a pleasure to see you, sir, as always. Pleasure to see the Pod Squad here. Yes, it is true. The rumors and innuendo are true. I have COVID-19 officially. I have dodged it since, March of 2020, and it is here in my house. Full disclosure, my infant daughter, Audrey, who is just 6 weeks old, has it. As well as my wife, Courtney. We are testing our other 3 children as well, including the Daniel, whose lovely voice you hear at the end of the program, asking why Blue Meanie's brain is out. It sucks, man. This is the shits. I can't lie. This is absolutely probably the worst experience of my life. I won't lie.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely getting the vaccine. And again, I know we don't get political and scientific here and stuff like that, but I know for sure that had I not got the vaccine, this would have been way worse. And I think that's what I'm most concerned about is, my daughters, Sophie and Audrey, they're, obviously they're too young to get the vaccines. Sophie's 4. Like I said, the baby, she's 6 months old. So it's really touch and go here. It's been really rough. We also had the flu strain too. There's a flu strain going around. And Audrey had that as well as us, so we're all just getting bombarded with it. So in lieu of any seltzers today, I have this wonderful cough medicine that my doctor told me to take, which, it's red for the bloodline, which, of course, we acknowledge our tribal chief. And shout out to Paul Heyman. So I'm going to just go.
Hey, if you're going to do a shot of that, I'll do an early seltzer.
That's awesome. What do you got on tap today, brother?
Solidarity. I got ShopRite, bowl and basket brand watermelon.
Ooh,
since it's the season. Let me see if I can get my finger in there so I could do the old Sandman.
3, 2, 1.
There we go. Down the hatch.
There we go. Mazel tov. It's like violence.
It's like violence.
I just say it's so good. Man, I didn't even do my hair today. I'm sorry, you guys. Pod Squad's looking at me. And you can watch us record the show early and ad-free by going to patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. And you get to see our beautiful faces.
What's that? You kind of have that Eddie and the Cruisers kind of look going on right there where he's singing on the dark side.
It's true. It's true. Shout out to Kane from 10th Ward Barbershop out there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Lawrenceville. Got me all cut up this past weekend while we were out there pre-COVID. And, he gave me the nice, if I twirled this enough, it would be nice and Scott Hallish. But, yeah, we're getting by. I appreciate it. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's reached out and, like Pod Squad, Meanie. I know you've reached out. Real Dad Josh has reached out as well. It's been very overwhelming from, our community and our network of people who have reached out to, wish us well and send things and do drop-offs at the door. It's been really nice. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone who's done so. But Meanie, it is so good to be here. And I promise, like I said, full disclosure, guys, the cough, I'm going to do my best to hit the mute button when I can. I'll edit it out where I can. But this is
we'll do it live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Well, I'll write it and we'll do it live. But it's been rough. But speaking of being rough, Meanie, I guess we gotta rip the Band-Aid off of this one. The big news. I know we're going to get into a lot of stuff, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. Meanie, what are you thinking about the Sasha Banks and Naomi controversy that is embroiling wrestling right now. As you know, and I'm sure the listeners are aware, Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of Monday Night Raw earlier this week, dropped the tag team titles on Laurinaitis' desk, and as of last night, they are suspended indefinitely from WWE, and they also were stripped of their women's tag team titles. What are your thoughts? Your initial thoughts as we open up this can of worms here?
Yeah, I'm kind of like sitting by with the popcorn, watching to see where it goes, because there's again, in pro wrestling, there wouldn't be a controversy without somebody thinking it's a work. So, like an intricate work, you know. So if it's a shoot, and it's hard for me to, you know, comment because I don't know all the particulars. I could say, oh well, you know, they just go with it or do whatever, and then like turns out like something really horrible happened that I didn't know about, so I look like a piece of shit for saying something, you know, not knowing the full details. But it's unfortunate, you know. I've been for the longest time I was an advocate for WWE get women tag team championships. When I first said it, like I want to say about 2016, 2017, you know, I was mocked for women's tag team champion. It's like, dude, like it might be even earlier than that, because I'm trying to, in my head, I'm trying to do the timetable on the women's revolution, like when it kind of officially started. But yeah, I was kind of mocked for it. I was like, no, it'd be the perfect time right now. And you know, I feel bad for Sasha because, you know, her and Bailey really wanted to have back, you know, a couple of years ago, they wanted to have a serious run with the tag belts. And, you know, they lost the Iconics, and nothing against the Iconics, but, you know, Sasha and Bailey had wanted to have a long-term run with them. Now Sasha's got the tag belts again with Naomi, and I guess they didn't like the creative. It was something about them. I want to say they had to jump in on the end of a match or something like that. I don't know the full details, you know, because again, I'm trying to figure out if it's a shoot or a work. I really want to invest the time on something that might actually be bullshit. You know,
yeah.
I try to maximize my minutes. You know, now if it's something to shoot, I'm like ooh, you know, I'm the nosy neighbor. Oh, what's going on over there? You know, hey, it's not happening to me. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll watch. But hopefully it gets resolved. You know, everybody's like, of course they're going to AEW, mm-hmm. Which who knows? But that's not always immediate either. I would think Sasha would go to Japan more than anything, you know, but
I don't know. And we'll jump into, we'll sort of dissect this because there's a lot of meat on this bone here before we get into, you know, a couple other topics, but just because it's topical and lots of people want to know what Meanie has to say. Obviously no one really wants to know what I have to say, but I will help string this along, gentlemen and girls and ladies and boys. I've been in quarantine for 3 days, guys. I'm acting weird. I'm sorry. But anyway, I digress. Join the club. I'm not even quarantined. I just act weird. It's accentuating my eccentricities. No, I don't. And Salamonster said this last night as well on his live stream. With the state of the women's division in AEW right now, I am not in the camp or of the belief that Sasha Banks would be in any way, shape, or form happier in AEW than she would be in WWE. I mean, there's the creative is not there. It's, you know, she would definitely, I agree that she would definitely be like a welcome addition to it, but I don't think that she would be happy in the way that people make it out to be. You know, I don't see her jumping to that level, but I'm curious have you ever been in the locker room where someone's done something like this before? Like, have you ever been even ECW or WWF? Like, has there ever been a time where someone did something of this caliber? Or is this, you know, just random enough? Obviously, Steve Austin would be the biggest metric on this, but anything like that ever happened with you?
I wasn't around for the time he took his ball and went home. I was in WWE when Jeff Jarrett had his, as Conrad Thompson liked to say, he put a gun in Vince's belly and got the money from him. When Jeff was about to jump to WCW, his contract had expired, and they wanted him to, do the good housekeeping match with China.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was called.
Yeah,
and dropped it in the Continental Belt Tour, and I remember being around for that, and that was an interesting day. I don't know. I wasn't privy to all the particulars, but you knew something was going on, and there was a little bit of tension in the air. And then, to his credit, Jeff went out and had an amazing match with China, and grabbed his bags and left pretty much. But as far as any other promotion, not really. Of course, once we stop recording and I have time to think about it, I'll be like, oh, fuck.
I'll get a text at 3:30 in the morning. Oh, by the way.
Yeah. No. As far as somebody like holding something up and saying, hey, or just dropping the belts and saying, hey, I'm out. Nah, not really. Nothing that comes to mind, except for that time Jeff Jarrett, put a gun in Vince's belly, as Conrad likes to remind him on, Jeff Jarrett's podcast. But, yeah, so it's definitely an interesting time. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Here's the thing. People are like, they supposedly walked in the office to put the belts on the table, walked out. WWE issues a statement, not mentioning, like, saying that they were uncomfortable working with, competitors they had worked with before, blah, blah, blah. Now, in the release, WWE said, had released, they never said the name of the competitors, right?
Right.
And all this other stuff. So that's what kind of makes me lean towards it's a shoot, to where if it was an angle, they would say, well, they didn't want to work with so-and-so and so-and-so. They have worked with so-and-so and so-and-so before. If they had, named the people that they claimed they didn't want to work with, that would have me leaning towards, the fact that they didn't name them makes me think it's a shoot. If they had named them, I would kind of lean towards work. But then in their mind, they could go, well, if we don't name them, people think it'll shoot, So
right.
Yeah, sometimes I overthink things and stuff like that. But I'm starting to lean towards it's a shoot. I've seen other people say it's a intricate work. If it is, cool, because you got people talking. That's the most important thing. You get people talking about the business in a way, and it's nothing like, there's worse things, people could be talking about than, this, with, anything that could happen nowadays, but, or any situation. But, yeah, I'm starting to lean towards it's shoot, and I'm, willing to look and see where it plays out.
Yeah.
Before I'd like to know all the details before I say, oh, that's good business. Ooh, that's bad business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hard. And that's, excuse me, I think that's kind of why I've been a little less than, forthcoming, or a little less than responsive on questions like this when I'm in a, chats or whatever it is. I know a few people who believe that this is a very intricate work, and most people that I've seen believe it's a shoot. To be honest, like, based on the available information right now, I would be very surprised to find out that this was a work. Right. Just like for the reasons that you said, and especially because they took the merchandise off the website. That Sasha Banks and Naomi, that merchandise is gone. This is the same tactic, from what I understand, that they did to Ali when all that stuff went down, when he asked for his release, and things changed pretty quickly after that. Once they weren't getting once he wasn't getting merchandise revenue and things like that, that's when I think things sort of the narrative shifted on that. But it's hard to say, because like you said, there is a lot of context that's missing. We have not heard from Sasha Banks or Naomi about what happened in that room and what happened with the creative. A lot of people have been all over Michael Cole since last night about the statement that he said on the show. But, to his credit, and even to, somebody like Corey Graves, what he said on Monday, you guys have to remember, these guys are doing their job. They're being fed lines into their ears, and they're being told what to say. Yes, they could say no, I'm not going to say that, but like at what cost, you know? And I know that's not really, you know, it's complicated, you know, as in all things, it's complicated.
And they're only given like a split second to, you know, process what they're being told to say. I mean, look back in history, I'm sure if Tony Schiavone had time to think about it, he wouldn't have said that line. Oh yeah, I'll put butts in seats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or Heenan going, whose side is he on? You know, like that. I'm sure if he had the benefit of 2020, you know, hindsight and redo, he wouldn't have said that.
Right. But, you know, it's easy to critique somebody when you've never done what they've done.
Right.
And,
right.
That's why I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt and try to, how would I react in that situation? You know? And you can't really get on the announcers for what they say because it's coming directly through their earpiece. You know what I'm saying? You know, for instance, you know, like one of my favorite, you know, WWE shows is when they went over to Japan because there's really no set storyline. They didn't have to, you know, go to a commercial break or plug this, that, and the other thing. And they could just, you know, Michael Cole just did like a straight through wrestling announcement thing. And that was refreshing. This was a couple of years ago, by the way. But, you know, I think Michael Cole's one of the best. Corey Graves is definitely one of the best. You know, it's just they're doing what their environment calls for.
Yeah. And that's really all they can do at this point. It's just hard to speculate for me. You know, I'm not the type of person that likes to speculate. That makes us no better than our friend Dave. And you know, I don't know when, I don't know where, but their contracts are coming due very soon. I can't say when, but they're coming due.
Plans change.
Plans change, and it could change, and they could re-sign, but maybe they won't. Yes. I could fucking do this, Meanie. Why don't we start our own fucking a newsletter and do the same shit and just guess at everything? But no, I don't particularly enjoy the idea of, you know, dunking on anybody, especially in this type of situation. But I'm sure for me, I'm sure it was something that was over the top or something that really pushed them to the edge.
Yeah, well, they're in a high pressure situation each and every week. No, WWE's a high pressure situation each and every week for everybody. And there had to be something that was the all right, fuck it moment, you know, just for them to put down the belts and go home.
One of the pieces of discourse, and then we'll move on to the next thing. One of the things online that I've seen is everybody's like, oh, well, they deserve this. And you don't walk out on your job. You do what you're told and this, that, and the other. And like, guys, shut the fuck up. Like as someone who has struggled with his own mental health for his entire life and who has walked out of jobs before, I have walked out of shoot jobs before for my own well-being and my own sanity and my own, you know, headspace. I will never, ever talk about anybody walking out of business, walking out of any arena, you know, Jeff Hardy, Tony Storm, you know, everybody was okay with these guys doing it, but as soon as Sasha Banks and Naomi walk out, now it's a big fucking problem and they're unprofessional, right? Like, right. I will never dunk on anybody for looking out for their own best interest, whether or not it nukes their career. I mean, I think they're well aware of the consequences that could happen and come from this. But I certainly won't dunk on anybody for that. But it remains to be seen, man. I had to figure we would address that at the top of the episode. But Andrew Bailey has a great question. I guess we can ask because I know you talked about it a minute ago. Are you wearing the Michael Barkin glasses?
For those at home listening who aren't from Philadelphia, Michael Barkin is a sports personality here in Philadelphia on Comcast Sportsnet or whatever it's called, NBC Philadelphia now.
Yeah. And
he wears like these glasses that have super blue like frames. And like I said, I call these my sports entertainment glasses. Since my hair's not blue, I put on something blue. So just to remind you, these are my Clark Kent / sports entertainment glasses. So I can remind you that I am the Blue Meanie.
You know, I was going to say, I was sitting here and I'm going, that looks like Brian, but I feel like maybe it's the Blue Meanie. And then I was like, well, it can't be the Blue Meanie because the Blue Meanie doesn't wear glasses. So, you know, in my head, that makes sense.
Well,
It makes sense.
Ones he doesn't wear ones that aren't painted on.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. That's what I should have said. Yeah, the painted glasses. These are just regular specs. So I knew immediately that it was Brian giving a shout out to the Blue Meanie. So speaking of shout outs, I know we talked last week a little bit about, or 2 weeks ago rather, we talked about the George Carlin documentary. I wanted to follow up with you on that. Yeah. I know that is now on my official quarantine list of shit to do, but have you had a chance to check it out?
Not yet. I will be watching it today. It came out like yesterday. Inside Baseball, we're recording on the 21st. The doc came out on May 20th. Now here's something cool. Like when it came out and they're like, here comes the documentary. I was like, I heard 90 minutes. I was like, man, how are you going to tell George Carlin's story in 90 minutes? Then I found out it was a 2-parter. And both episodes are like an hour and a half each, which 3 hours. Yeah, definitely you could tell George's story in 3 hours. Dude, I could watch, make a Ken Burns documentary on George Carlin. I'll watch that,
Yeah.
A 10-night affair, But I'll be watching that tonight. Been a lot of good documentaries within the last couple of days coming out. One of my favorite comedy troupes, the Kids in the Hall, released a new season, and then they released a documentary called Comedy Punks, which is a 2-parter, which was really good. A lot of stuff I never knew, and you get to hear people, celebrate them, one being Mike Myers, which was awesome. And he talked about how he, actually did one of their stage shows, which kind of blew my mind. So, we watched the Kids in the Hall documentary over 2 days. And then today, since my birthday was on Wednesday, kind of in the middle of the week, we kind of didn't have a chance to really do anything. So we're calling this my birthday weekend.
Nice.
So Mrs. Meanie will be, we grilled last night. We'll be doing something tonight. And then we'll have something, make it a special occasion to watch the George Carlin documentary because, like I said, man, the guy changed how I view the world. I've stolen so much from George Carlin, as far as, one-liners and stuff like that. I never fucked a 10, but one night I fucked 5 2s, and, just different things, whether people knew what I was saying or not, I would whip out George Carlinisms, in everyday speak. And, him and Eddie, Van Halen really, shaped my life. But, I can't wait to watch it. I'm sure I'll have some Kleenex handy, in case I have to cry, a hard cry. But, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I was thinking about this particular tweet when I was thinking about things we could talk about today, and I'm glad that you brought up Kids in the Hall because there's a sort of a more viral tweet going around right now where people are saying, they're talking about how happy they are that Kids in the Hall are so popular and how much they're loving them, and it's this idea that like people are rejecting ageism is something that the tweet says as well, and a lot of people in comedy are like, oh, these guys are too old to do this and this, that, and the other. And, people want to laugh at any point. They don't care how old they are. They want to laugh, George Carlin how old was he? He was 80 when he died? 70 or 80 when he died? And
close to it, 78 maybe?
Yeah, and he was arguably still on top of his game. And in some aspects, sometimes the jokes hit harder. And Dana Gould, who is a comedian and a podcaster, said he was like, I was once told by the then head of Comedy Central that people don't like to watch people older than they are. And he says, which this explains why no high school kid has ever watched a professional baseball game or Tom Cruise movie. And it's like, why? Like, it just seems so like totally deaf, like it totally tone deaf to the entire situation. But it does apply also to, professional wrestling, Sting is, for Christ's sake, how old is Sting now? 62? And he's still performing at a pretty high level? So like, how does it make you feel?
I do. Yeah. Sting moves better than I do. I don't get the ageism thing. Conrad Thompson said something the other, month ago. It's like, can we stop pretending that the 40s are old? The 40s is usually when people are hitting their prime or, finding their finding a voice. People find that earlier too, but when you're in your 40s, you really start to understand, your profession, no matter what your profession is. And, because I always say, if I could put this 49-year-old mind in my 20-year-old body, God, I'd be unstoppable,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, ageism is silly. Dave Foley from the Kids in the Hall still makes an attractive woman. If you're not familiar with the Kids in the Hall, they played male and female parts, and they do the drag thing, which is awesome. I'm a big fan of drag because it's drag is really pro wrestling anyway.
Absolutely.
Dave Foley was always a hot chick, back in the day. He's still he's got that MILF quality, but yeah, they're still killing it. I watched the whole new season. And I watched the documentary, and dude, it's amazing. It's amazing that they're back. And here's the thing about the Kids in the Hall. I watched them when they first came out, and then life takes over. And it was in the 90s, and I was in high school, and then I graduated high school, and then I started my wrestling training and all this stuff. But they're always kind of on in my periphery. Yeah. And what they bring up in the documentary, which happens to a lot of shows, is the show, ended, but then Comedy Central kind of like reignited, people's interest into it. It was on HBO, and it was on the Canadian broadcast company, CBC or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until those Kids in the Hall episodes hit Comedy Central, and they were doing marathons, Father's Day with the kids, that, they got a second life, a resurgence in popularity amongst the U.S. audience. And then they, kind of start touring because on their last season and then one of their last movies, they kind of had a hard falling out. Right. It was like the four guys against Dave, because Dave went off to do news radio, and that kind of interfered with, what they were trying to do. So Dave kind of became the heel for a little bit, mm-hmm. but it wasn't, and then they, went their separate ways like Journey. And, through those, thank God for Comedy Central doing this, bringing that resurgence back, that the management was like, hey, I think we got something here. And they reunited with Dave and built some, mended some wounds and, built some bridges and fixed some fences. And here we are in 2022, and they're still going. They were showing, each tour and the movies they did subsequent to reuniting. And it's an amazing story, and then, to see them sit there today and reminisce, and they're probably one of the greatest comedy troupes of all time.
I would say so. And one of my favorites, I guess maybe my favorite in the entire group, is Mark McKinney. Mark McKinney, just anything the guy does. He was on a show that Courtney and I watched called Superstore, which was on NBC for a couple of years. He played the store manager, Glenn. And I mean, just fucking, like, it's hard to explain to people when you don't, like, if you're not trained for it, if you don't hear it, but like, when you see someone who just knows exactly what the fuck they're doing, and they hit like, you could just tell that guy knows exactly what moments to hit, exactly how to inflect his voice at the right time. I mean, just comedy gold, man. Just so fucking good. What was your favorite sketch so far in the new season? Is there one that stuck out to you that I should look for when I watch it? Because obviously I'll be stuck here for at least another 5 to 10 days. So what's
I need to rewatch it and redigest it. I thought you were going to ask me about the original series.
With the original series too. Yeah.
I wish I knew the name of the skit, but they did a skit on on the original series. It was two teenagers, home alone in the girl parents' bedroom, and they're sitting by a stained glass window, almost like a church window in the parents' bedroom. And, they're going to, have sex for the first time. And the girl goes, I brought a condom, and she filled it with water. And, she's smiling and she's got braces on, and there's rain and lightning, and the lightning's making her braces sparkle in the light. So she's like, I think I'll go get ready, and she goes in the bathroom to put on get changed and all this stuff. And the teenage boy sitting there, and he's like nervous, and he's looking around. He sees a crucifix on the wall. He looks around. He sees the parents' photo on the bedside thing, and then all of a sudden he looks over, and there's a dog just sitting there staring at him like, and so he kind of faints. And then when the girl comes out of the room, she's standing there. She put her pinky up to her teeth and goes tink on her braces, and she's walking out of the bedroom and all ready to go, and she goes, "Oh my God!" And the kid had passed out, and the dog was humping the kid in the ass. And as the dog humps him, his face is going like with the rhythm of the fucking. I wish I knew what the skit was called, but I remember when I was at Al's, we had cable. And we were, we sit around and watch that, and that was fucking great. Now, as far as personally, I was broken into the business by a woman named Phyllis Lee, and me and Al would constantly rib her. She's a great woman, awesome woman, but she opened herself up to some good ribbing, Yeah. We'd be driving, over a bridge and going through a toll. She's like, "I need a mail letter." I was like, "Well, this ain't a mailbox, Phyllis. This is a pay toll." Stop it, stuff like that. And there's a character on Kids in the Hall, the chicken lady.
Okay.
Hart, scarred for life. She was half woman, half chicken, or half chicken. And then she'd be like, scarred for life. Ah! We're like, oh my God, that's Phyllis. So anytime we would quote Phyllis, it would be in the chicken lady voice,
that's funny.
Go with Dan Severn to the UFC. Because she helped Dan Severn get in the UFC.
Oh, really?
After Dan was trying to get in the UFC, and they're I don't know what their deal was, but Phyllis went in there and chicken ladied him to death, and just all right, he could be in the UFC. And then Dan became this UFC legend.
That's so funny. I was sitting.
So many quotes.
I was sitting here thinking about the way that Comedy Central used to be set up. Back in the I guess the mid to late 90s. There was no reason for me at my age at that point to be watching stuff on Comedy Central, but we did. But I remember Kids in the Hall sketches would be on it late, and there was a movie with Brendan Fraser and Albert Brooks. I can't remember the name of it, but it used to be on all the time. And I don't know if you remember this, but Penn Jillette used to do the voiceovers. He used to do the narration for everything. And
that's in the documentary. Even though they don't say, "Oh, this is Penn Jillette," you can tell it's Penn Jillette.
Yeah. It's there. The Scout is the name of the movie that I thought of. That's the name of The Scout. And I just remember a lot of summers just sitting in my room, and it was, my brothers and I shared the room in this basement. We had cable down in the basement and watch Comedy Central, pre South Park, and Kids in the Hall was a big part of that. And there was a lot of repeats and early Daily Show stuff. And man, that was just always good shit. I always just felt like it was very ahead of its time.
I am old enough to remember when Comedy Central was, before Comedy Central started, they would run these vignettes on MTV, VH1 for Comedy Central, and they would add these some weird, there's this weird video of these guys on the beach with sand up to their knees, kind of doing sit-ups, but with their knees. And they're we have to strengthen our knees. We have to strengthen our knees for comedy. And they put the gun. It might be on YouTube. I have to look it up. But I remember back in the day when a new channel was coming along, they would run vignettes for them. I remember we talk about the legacy of wrestling on TNT. I remember the day TNT first went on the air.
Really?
I came home. dude, I came home from school. I was like 7th or 8th grade. My grandma was like, "Oh, that new channel starting at 3:00." And I sat there and I watched this is what you did as a kid. You just sit there and watch the timer on the TV with the countdown.
Yep.
10 minutes or whatever. And then at the end of the 10 minutes, they played Gone with the Wind. I was like, all right, well, I guess I could change the channel now. I saw a new channel start, you know?
Yeah. So it'd pop up. One of the creepiest things I heard about, but then we'll get back to something I was thinking about with Comedy Central. A couple years ago, I don't know when, maybe it was after the CNN or the Turner acquisition or something, but a video came out of what Ted Turner put together in the event of nuclear warfare. And it's just a band. Have you ever seen it before?
No.
It's a band. Let me look it up right now. It's called there's like a, what is it? Nuclear war video. Here we go. It was fucking creepy, man. Yeah. Former intern found the video that they would play. CNN was going to play during the end of the world. And it's called the Doomsday Video. And it says restriction. There's a thing. And it says FHR, which I don't know what that means, until the end of the world is confirmed. And it's a grainy, like I say, the New Yorker called it a grainy minute-long video. And it's like a band playing, you know, an instrumental song in front of like this fountain. And it would just replay and replay and replay until, you know, I guess the world end. It's the Combined Armed Forces Marching Band playing Nearer My God to Thee. And if you know the context as you're watching it, you're like, this is the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's fucking, I'll find it and I'll send it to you because it's on YouTube. But I am always just amazed by how ahead of the time, I guess, Ted was in some of those things where it's like, okay, well, let's, you know, make sure we have something. But also, like, if Ted Turner did that, how many of these other stations did something like that? You know, would it be money to the end where they're like, no, get the advertising dollars in there just in case we come back from this, you know?
Yeah.
But
I have to, you know, say I was listening to Eric Bischoff's Strictly Business podcast, and he was talking about like, man, it's a shame there'll never be another Ted Turner, a rogue millionaire visionary who wants to start a cable news channel. You know,
yeah,
because it's more of a machine now than anything. It's so impossible to say, okay, I'm going to start this new news channel.
Yeah,
24-hour news. I'm going to start a channel, you know, and everything starts at 5 after the hour.
Yeah.
You know, 5 minutes after the hour, because, you know, his theory, Ted Turner's theory was if it starts at 6:05 and they're watching the show and they're invested, that creeps into the timing of the other shows. So they kind of have to stay on TBS.
Yeah. Smart.
Which could also backfire, you know, if you watch another show 5 minutes before your show on TBS,
yeah,
you can miss out on your show on TBS. But, you know, it was a unique way of thinking.
Yeah. One of the funniest things I remember about early Comedy Central was, and I only saw it like twice in my life. It was around the holidays, and there was a commercial. It was like this big spread on the table. It was like one of those fancy like Hallmark Channel, you know, food setups, and it just eventually pans over to a big bowl of eggnog. And, you know, it's like, it's got the real like fancy music and, you know, the whole thing. And it's like, oh, would you like any more eggnog? And you hear this guy going, no more eggnog. And he just starts violently vomiting. He just pukes through the rest of the commercial, and it just continues to vomit. It's like Happy Holidays from Comedy Central. I laughed so hard when I watched that because I was like, this is the most insane fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. And I couldn't find, that was before the days you could like DVR shit and, you know, record it. And I never heard it again. And then maybe like 2 years later, I think during like the height of South Park, is when it came on again, and I was like, this is just incredible. This is an incredible commercial.
You just reminded me of a shout out to Will Sasso.
Yeah.
Him and Chad Colchin have this podcast called Dudesy. And Dudesy, they're like 11 episodes in. And the gimmick of Dudesy is it's the first podcast ever run by an AI. Artificial intelligence. They've given Dudesy access to their phone, their email, everything. And Dudesy goes through their life and they have to do these different tasks throughout, the show each week, and they get a score, the score never matches whatever. But this, excuse me.
You're good.
This past week, Duty said Will Sasso had to read Will Sasso's childhood diary.
Oh, no.
In Stone Cold Steve Austin's voice. And he's done this a couple times, and it's fucking hilarious.
And welcome back.
Anything happen?
Yeah, it's been a fun fucking afternoon. It's due to some issues we had here. Welcome back to Mind of the Meanie, episode 113, title to be determined. So a little inside baseball, guys. Like I said at the top of the episode, we're COVID positive here in the house. So we had some issues we just had to address here at the home. Everything's good. Everybody's all right. We just had to, handle some things real fast and jump in the episode. So I appreciate your patience. But I think now, though, Meanie, and it's always a good time for this, though, but especially right now. Would you like to ask Meanie?
I would love to. It's time to ask Meanie anything. Ask me something.
Don't forget, tweet us your questions at Mind of the Meanie using the hashtag AskMeanie, and we will ask your question live on the show. So I got a couple of good questions for you here to get us through the rest of today's afternoon here. And again, I appreciate your patience as well. It's fucking hotter than the hinges of hell outside, too. Have you been outside yet today?
Dude, I opened the window to try to get air in here, and I was like, oh, I made a mistake.
Fuck. Dude, I got this fan, this giant stand-up fan blowing next to me here. I'm sure you can hear, like, the ambient noise. Sorry, Carl. I don't know. Oh, by the way, I meant to ask you, before we get to Ask Meanie, how did you feel about hearing Carl's voice for the first time? How good is my impression?
I wish I'd never heard it because I'm so used to your version of Carl's voice. To hear him selling was great. Yeah. And it was pretty good.
Yeah. He's so Carl is a master of the outdoors as well as being a master of our mastering and audio. But when he was in Arizona for a business trip, I guess a snake had like come into his place that he was staying at, and he fucking, what the fuck is this shit? And just lost his mind. So it was so fucking funny. I took the video audio and I made it into a sound clip and put it on Foundation Radio beginning of one of the shows. And I was like, this is the perfect time to do this. And I was like, Carl, you going to keep doing this for us? He was like, I can't believe that you took that fucking video and made it into a sound. I can't believe you saved it. I was like, why would I not? This is fucking beautiful. So he's great, man. He's going to send us some more as he finds, as he continues to find poisonous animals and reptiles at his place. Here we go. Anthony Camerata asks, Camerata. Yo, Meanie, have you ever been presented with a controversial segment or storyline that you didn't agree with? If so, what was it? And what is the proper way to let the writing team or even the more interesting Mr. McMahon know that you disagree or that you're offended with something?
Well, I don't think anything will top the crucifixion angle that I did.
You did a crucifixion angle?
Well, in ECW.
Oh, yeah.
Which made Kurt Angle storm out of the building.
If you could see my face right now.
That didn't age well. That's why I got to go to patreon.com/mindofthemeanie for some good facials.
That's right. Good facials on that one. Not those kinds of facials, friends. The other one. But no, I remember watching that and
had to do the windshield wipers with my
I am thoroughly sports entertained by this right now.
There's always that one that goes like awkward and then it joins back up.
Oh my God, I love it, dude. No, I forgot that you were a part of that angle, but I guess there really wasn't anything to say.
No pun intended.
Yeah, on the nose a little.
No, but they. Well, in WWE, not really. I mean, we're going to be GTV was supposed to be me and GoldDust, which wasn't really controversial. I mean, being part of the Attitude Era was controversial in itself because there's people always trying to shut Vince down, or the parent, the PTC, and all that stuff. ECW, did a lot of controversial stuff.
Yeah.
But for Blue Meanie specific, probably had to be, like I said, the crucifixion angle, which at the time, I'm a year and a half in the business. So who am I to pipe up and go, I'm going to make a stand here? Okay, we'll get somebody else to do it. Hold on. But yeah, that was probably the only time where, I was part of something like super controversial that, hell, it didn't even air on TV, and it caused Kurt Angle to, leave the building and protest. And, now, WWE put it out on Rise and Fall. Everybody's seen it. But, yeah, at the time, that was some heavy shit.
What do you think would have happened? I guess Adam in Delaware, or yeah, listen to me, Adam in Delaware. Adam in Downingtown wants to know, what would have happened? Like, what was the plans for Kurt Angle? I'm sure you've probably talked about this, but just because I've never asked, like, were there any plans for Kurt Angle in ECW before this happened? Or was it just like, hey, we're courting him, we want him to come in, and now we're like, whoops? No
clue what plans they would have had for him. I wasn't, privy to any of that stuff. But, Taz was huge on having him in. Well, I think Shane was the contact because they're both from Pittsburgh. And, I think Kurt had done some small independent stuff locally in Pittsburgh. But as far as ECW, I don't know. Maybe have him go to the House of Hardcore and wrestling school, maybe roll around, and Taz and Perry can, show him some in-ring stuff, kind of like, with Matt Riddle, how Matt Riddle was a star amateur wrestler and star mixed martial artist.
I was going to say, wasn't he in the UFC also?
Yeah. One of the best, most famous knockouts in UFC history, and in his first fight ever.
Wow.
And, he knocked the guy out, broke his jaw in like a couple places, and they had to, ambulance him out. It was on the Ultimate Fighter season 7, which I went out and bought the box set for, because that was actually one of my favorite seasons. It just happened that Matt was on it as well.
Wow.
But when it came to coaching Matt Riddle, it was just a matter of if you can use computer lingo, I rewired his motherboard. I reprogrammed his motherboard because he had the skills.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle had skills. Matt Riddle had skills. You just had to reprogram it towards pro wrestling. In amateur wrestling and mixed martial arts, you're taught don't sell.
Right.
Don't show weakness. And if you see weakness, attack it. In pro wrestling, you're taught to sell.
Yeah.
You're taught to, if somebody takes a bump, let it breathe. In UFC, if somebody takes a bump, you knock somebody down, you got to dive right in and pounce. So you kind of had to teach them to break those habits that was ingrained into them. And even when I was on, if you go on the net on Peacock, if it's still on there, Matt Riddle Arrival, that hour doc that they did, I think it's on their YouTube too, but they came to the Monster Factory and interviewed me and Andy Cage, who was also one of his coaches. I wasn't Matt Riddle's only coach, so I can't take credit. But, I said, Kurt Angle and Matt Riddle reminded me a lot of Kurt Angle in how quickly they picked up the business.
Yeah.
And then you get the nerds going, well, no. With how quickly they picked up the fucking business. Well, look, Kurt Angle went right to, no, he didn't go right to TV. He did a bunch of house show. He did a bunch of dark matches. He did the Funkin' Dojos, which I wrestled Kurt on one of them. And ironically, I felt so bad. It was like everybody had a good week, and then me and Kurt wrestled each other, and I got knocked goofy.
Oh, jeez.
I knocked myself goofy.
Really?
I did the thing where me and Kurt are doing the back. I put Kurt on the top rope. I come up, battle back and forth, and he gets the upper hand, and I do the nasty plunge off the second rope. I was going up. He comes off with a high cross body. 1, 2, kick out. Well, I did the nasty plunge. I landed way too high on my shoulders and whacked my fucking head.
Oh, God.
And I had done this once before, which you think I would have fucking learned. I did it against Christian in Boston. I look up and everything goes like into a negative. You know, when you look at a negative on film.
Yeah.
And it went whoop, whoop. So I did that with Kurt. He comes off with the high cross body. I'm so out of it. He just Wile E. Coyote'd off of me. He just hit my chest and went down.
Oh,
and
man.
This mess. But
jeez.
I know I got a little side road here.
You will never hear me complain about hearing you tell stories about fucking people that you wrestled or wrestling stories in general. That will never be a thing that happens. One thing I will complain about is when I fart in my own and I have to like sit in it, you know, and it's like really terrible for a minute or two. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. It's like when you're in the shower and you're like washing your ass and you fart and you're in a tiny space and it smells. Yeah. That I will complain about. But I will never complain about you telling me stories about wrestling Kurt Angle or Christian Cage or anybody else in the world. So thank you.
Yeah. And during that match, fucking Kurt put me in the O'Connor roll and squeaked one out of me.
Dude, you farted on Kurt Angle?
Yeah.
I think that's the episode title. I farted on Kurt Angle.
Oh, no. I don't need that fucking heat. Kurt will find me and stretch me. A broken freaking neck.
With a broken freaking neck. That man is terrifying.
Dude, I didn't know it until the next day. You know, we're at breakfast and he's like, you know, you farted on me, right? I'm like, what? And I did the Homer Simpson back up into the bushes, you know. I didn't know. And then, yeah, you kind of rolled me in.
Now, what would you say was the fart? Let's run the gamut here, and you can give us the closest that you think might have been. Something a little squeaky? Was it a little push out, or was it one of these monster ones?
No, it was that second one.
Oh, man.
The second one again. Yeah, that was that.
Incredible stuff. Andrew Bailey's here talking as well. Shout out to the Pod Squad again. Andrew Bailey was wondering if it would have been worse or better if Kurt Angle had joined and how much that would have changed. Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, because you know, like by the time Taz got to WWE, I mean, he was kind of, you know, he was sunsetting, if you will. You know, I'm sure the injuries and things were kind of taking it out of him at that point, but holy shit, could you imagine a real deal program with Kurt Angle and Taz? Like Kurt Angle starting his career. Holy Santa Claus shit. Talk about
I would have loved to have seen Kurt Angle and Little Guido.
Yeah. That'd have been cool.
The Sicilian shooter against, you know, the Olympic hero. It would have been awesome. Who knows? Like if he would have, I mean, well, WWE was sending guys to ECW all the time. I don't know if I was the only one who noticed that. You know, that started me thinking, oh, okay, we're part of WWE, kind of. We're at least a feeder system. They were sending Draws down. They sent Furnace and LaFon down, and Brockus, the guy who had probably the worst gas in the locker room.
No way.
And Brockus was that German bodybuilder dude.
Yeah.
And he would drink egg beaters.
Ew.
You know, I guess for the protein.
Yeah.
But good Lord, man. He would he'd fart and you're just like, you know, it was like a daisy cutter, you know, with those daisy cutter bombs they drop and the doc leaves the room and then he would just sit there and go, with fucking I also remember Brockus ever talking, but anytime I think of Brockus, I think of Al Snow doing Brockus's voice, which was basically Marvin the Martian with I'm going to press you over my head. Yes. But where was I? I'm saying,
we were just talking about Kurt Angle and Taz and Little Guido.
Oh yeah, Kurt, yeah. Oh yeah, you know, Kurt. I mean, Kurt Angle's career did pretty well.
Yeah. But, in spite of things,
to get him out there in front of a crowd, in front of an ECW crowd, which was basically pro wrestling's Apollo Theater. Yeah. You know, they say if you can impress a crowd at the Apollo Theater, you can basically work anywhere. ECW was pro wrestling's Apollo Theater, Philadelphia fans. I think he would have done great.
Yeah.
In ECW, and it could have, given him some a little bit of a head start for WWE. I think they would have protected him. He wouldn't have been doing any crazy things, so to speak, but it would have been good for him.
I have our last question of the day here for you, Mark and Dryden, who's always got great questions. Shout out to Mark and Dryden.
Word.
Movie question to continue the chat from 2 weeks ago. What do you two think about these movies? Shakes the Clown and Screwed. Now, I'm not familiar with Shakes the Clown. I probably watched it quite some time ago, but it's Bobcat Goldthwait and Julie Brown. And then Screwed is, oh shit, look at this. I think I remember this movie. Norm Macdonald, Dave Chappelle, and Danny DeVito. Do you know this one? Screwed?
I need to watch. I'm familiar, but I think I watched Shakes once.
Yeah.
And I guess the highlight of that highlight of Shakes the Clown was they had Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son.
Yes.
Talking about how her pussy spreads smooth as peanut butter or something like that. And I was just a young fella at the time, and that line almost turned me off the pussy. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, of course.
I vaguely remember this Screwed movie with Norm Macdonald. It was 2000. I think I probably watched this. Again, we had no oversight at all as children and as adolescents, so I'm 99% sure I watched this movie. Same thing with Shakes the Clown. When did that movie come out? Let me see.
Shout out to Norm Macdonald. I mean, rest in peace. He filmed a secret Netflix special that's going to be released. He wanted it released posthumously or whatever. Yeah. That was very cool of him, knowing that he had limited time left, and he filmed a secret Netflix special that's going to be released soon.
Robin Williams was in Shakes the Clown. Adam Sandler, Paul Dooley, a lot of character actors that you would probably recognize. Kathy Griffin was in it. Florence Henderson.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1991, I think is what this was. Looks like the band Slipknot. This was before they were famous. There was a song from them in the movie as well. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen this flick, but I'm sure I've seen it. Again, definitely shouldn't have been watching this in 1991 as a child, but I'm sure I did.
There's plenty of things I watched I probably wasn't supposed to be watching.
It's a lot like Problem. We watched Problem Child. Do you remember that movie with John Ritter? Both of those? Yeah. We watched them. Not a fucking reason, not a goddamn clue why my father would ever allow us to watch something like that. But so we'll have to watch them, and then we'll get back to you on that one, Mark and Dryden, because it's been a while for both of us, it seems like.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Should we do one more? Is there one more?
Let me take a look here. Let's see here. Mark and Dryden's got another question. Let's see. Fantasy book, this one. Mark and Dryden wants to know. I remember seeing that one Brett Dream match that would have been against Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
That shit would have been fucking incredible. Who else would have been an ideal Dream opponent for Bret Hart if he had lasted, say, into the 2000s? All right, so let's cap this, because this is a really big question, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe what we should say is, because we're assuming, right, that Bret Hart will probably go back to WWE after this, after the business goes out. So
had he not had his head kicked off by Goldberg.
Right. So let's say, yeah, oh my God. Well, let's maybe just think about the Invasion era. Okay. Let's just talk about that timeline. Who would be there?
Bret Hart versus Brock Lesnar.
Easy. That right off the top. Right off the top, Brock Lesnar.
I thought the line of question I thought was going to go towards Angle. I watched, and I'm sorry I can't remember the match in detail, but I watched Owen Hart versus Kurt Angle.
Time out. Back it up.
Mm-hmm.
You watched Owen Hart and Kurt Angle wrestle live.
Yes. It was a dark match.
The dark match.
It was a dark match for one of the Raws. One of the TV tapings, and it happened once. Oh, I remember Owen went over with the sharpshooter, but you know, I made sure I was at the curtain for that. I wish I could have watched that one. I mean, I wish I could have remembered that one, but not knowing, the circumstances of what would become Owen's life, with him tragically passing away. But I mean. Me and Josh, OG Josh, did a story on time, did a show talking about time travel. I wish I could have go back in time and watched that match again, knowing, and record it with my camera phone or something like that. But
do you think
it's there in the archives?
I was going to say it's got to be, right? They had to have recorded that, especially if Kurt Angle was just starting.
Oh, they absolutely recorded it. It was a dark for TV. Yeah.
Like to me, that's like the Tom McGee match of my generation, right? Like that's the match that I want to see. So Bruce, I know you listen to the show frequently, Bruce. Let's fucking get this shit on the road. All right. I got to call your boy. I'll call your boy, Josh. All right. I'll call Connie, as we refer to him in the streets here. Let's get this fucking shit on the road. Everybody wants to see this.
The
Podfather. I'm sure he's got some fucking pull with this too. I am
bring the gems back, man. That was a good
way by this right now. Like that must have been a fucking just looking back on that must have been an incredible experience. My first guess, though, my first one would be The Rock. Bret Hart versus The Rock.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
At the very maybe right before he went Hollywood Rock, when it's Rock Hogan, that timeline. I'd have loved to seen that. Something about Rob Van Dam and Bret Hart would have been a fucking banger and a half. Sabu and Bret Hart would have been a banger too, because I feel like maybe their styles might conflict a little bit, but I feel like Bret Hart. Yeah. What's that?
That would be the beauty of it,
right? Because I feel Bret Hart could have worked. I mean, we've all seen Sabu and John Cena. That shit was a banger.
Well, look at Bret Hart and Hakushi.
Right. Exactly. That's what I mean. That the same thought process, right? That would have been. I think there's a limitless possibility of people that he could have, and I feel like anybody he was in a match with, he would have made look great. So I think it's hard to underestimate how many folks he could have definitely been involved with. I don't like to necessarily. I know you're kind of the same way with this. I don't like to necessarily fantasy book people now. Versus people at their prime, we could have the Undertaker Sting conversation. So I try to stay within that window of world where it was. But I mean, I guess
it's hard to fantasy book matches now because there's really no borders.
Yeah,
there's such an open door that everybody's wrestled everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll say this match and be like, oh well, that match happened. Oh shit. Well, fuck me.
Yeah. There's only
back when there were set borders, set companies, somebody from Impact could show up on AEW, somebody from AEW could show up on Impact.
Mm-hmm.
We had Mickie James at the Royal Rumble, with the Impact Women's title.
There's only one fantasy match. There's only one fantasy match that I want to see right now. And it's the only one that's going to matter at this point going forward. It's Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega, and that's it. I have no other.
That is the one.
I have no other interest in any other match besides Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega, because Kenny Omega says he's the best. We'll get in a ring, brother. Get in a ring with Roman Reigns and see who's the best. That's the only one I think that I would because I prefer Roman obviously to Kenny, but I can see that Kenny is like the indie top guy, the AEW's top guy, the one of the few that's he's the Sting of the current generation, right? Never wrestled for WWE. But I think that storyline could be really well done if they took their time with it. And, if Omega went into WWE, though, they'd have to fucking book that right away. It would just be just start right where you're at here. But yeah, that's it. I would say, so I guess our answers for you, Mark and Dryden, are Brock Lesnar and The Rock.
For me. Yeah, I would love to see Brett versus Brock.
Yeah,
that would have been amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that would have been fucking incredible. And for me, I guess if you're gonna ask me, I would say Dwayne, and then Rob Van Dam. I think those two back to back, all three of these programs back to back would have been fucking incredible. But what else is incredible is you, Blue Meanie. Thank you so much for your patience. Oh wait, I have one more question here from the Pod Squad.
Sure.
Pod Squad member Vanessa Bella wants to know, hey, you fellas going to be at StarCast 5 this year?
I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed.
I'm available.
I am ready to be booked. So
I'm ready to be booked, Terry.
You get to see my smiling face here on patreon.com/mindofthemeanie. No, we are totally open to being at StarCast. We would love to be a part of it. Our telephones are on if StarCast is listening. And the good people that run the show. And if we will be there, we will announce it, and we will be happy to see everyone there. But Meanie, where can everyone find you on the social media platforms?
If you would like to follow the Blue Meanie, aka me, I'm available on all forms of social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which I don't know how to use, at Blue Meanie BWO. If you would like to support the Blue Meanie, go to prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie. Also, prowrestlingtees.com/MindOfTheMeanie. If you would like to look good and smell good, my bearded fellow friends, go to madcatbeardcare.com. I have a very cool scent over there called the Blue Spruce, which I had a hand in picking out. So and they're doing good things over there for the cats. So go to madcatbeardcare.com and pick yourself up some Blue Spruce. Also, you can go to collarandelbowbrand.com, use promo code Meanie and save 10%. Rod Hicks and Al Snow are doing a fantastic job over there at collarandelbowbrand.com / promo code Meanie, save 10%. And where can we find you, Mr. Barnard?
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You can find me on my socials on Twitter and Instagram at This Is Goober. Yes, it's my handle. Yes, I'm keeping it. It's a brand, pal. You can also support my other show, Foundation Radio, by going to prowrestlingtees.com / Foundation Radio, picking up a shirt right now, and helping to keep the lights on over there. New episodes of that show every Tuesday, and you can check that out. Blue Meanie, thank you so much, as always, for being a part of this Pod Squad. I got to shout you guys out. Patreon.com / MindOfTheMeanie. Go and sign up today. Watch us record this episode early and ad-free and see our beautiful smiling faces and see all the fun shit that happens behind the scenes while we record. So, for the Blue Meanie, I am Adam Barnard. Join us again each and every week as we take a trip through the mind of the Meanie. Peace.
Blue World Order. Blue World Order.
This episode of Mind of the Meanie was recorded and produced by Adam Barnard and was engineered by Carl Pinnell. Additional production and narration provided by Sam Krebs. Our executive producers are Josh Chernoff, Adam Barnard, and the Blue Meanie. Our opening theme is performed by the Swamp Candles. Our closing theme is performed by Chikara. The show contains original music produced by Enrichment. Get additional bonus content by becoming our patron on Patreon at patreon.com / MindOfTheMeanie. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MindOfTheMeanie. This has been a Butts Carlton media production in conjunction with the MLW Radio Network. Butts Carlton, proprietor.
Blue World Order.
Dad, why is Blue Meanie's brain out?
The world of MLW Radio never stops.